Hey everyone, this is Tom from Tropical Escapes at Home, and we are already back for another week. I just cannot believe how fast time is flying. Last week, as you know, we paid a visit to Thailand, and we took a look at some Thai-inspired design and things that you can look for when you want that kind of vibe in your house. And the thing about Thailand, as we mentioned last week, is it's a very exotic Asian destination. It's definitely got its own look to it, and it's got more of a maximalist look to it because of the intricacies of the different wood carvings and the home decor styles and the use of natural textures. And then we also looked at 5 different adults-only resorts over in Thailand. Well, I wanted to do the same thing this week, carrying over that same theme, this time by going to Bali. Bali is the other awesome and amazing destination in the tropical Asian area because it's very similar to the Thai style of design in the sense that it's also a very full look. It's very rich. They use a lot of wonderful and amazing wood carvings, and it's a very tropical forested look. And the Thai style of design focuses very heavily on plants. It's a very lush, a very rich look, big leaf tropicals and a lot of them. And you have these indoors, you have these outdoors. If you've got shared spaces, which open up to the outside, it all makes for one big cohesive look. And the beauty of Balinese design, much like the Thai design, is that its focus is also on creating a Zen-like feel, a real ambiance that promotes relaxation and peace and serenity. It's a very comfortable way to be, a comfortable place to come home to after a busy day outside in commercial life or whatever it is people are doing for work that's just very busy, very stressful. The Balinese use interior spaces that are flooded with natural light, and they use a lot of natural materials. They use a lot of stone, a lot of rattan. It's just an absolutely beautiful way to decorate your house. And like most tropical styles, it really focuses on good ventilation. A lot of homes in Southeast Asia, they're very communal. There's a family use of indoor and outdoor spaces. So a lot of homes have large windows and just open layouts. And it really is just a beautiful way of living. And the homes are structured and then decorated accordingly. So the home is a sanctuary. The garden is a sanctuary. It's just a wonderful combination of indoor and outdoor living. And one thing that I particularly love about the tropics is their heavy use of wood, both in interior styling, interior design, and also within the art world. So much like Fiji in the South Pacific, a lot of things are made from wood. Home decor pieces are made from wood. And you will find this in the Balinese culture as well. Everything from actual furniture to sculptures to wall art, big carved wooden panels. A lot of this is very religious inspired, where there's a lot of Hindu and Buddhist iconography in there. There's just elements that really show imagery that brings these different religions to life in the home. And of course, being the tropics, you're going to have a lot of bright colors too. And this is across the board, not just in home styling, but you're going to find it just in the clothing people wear, in celebratory attire. There's a very strong use of color in the Balinese culture. And the other thing that I really like about it too, and I don't know if it's specific just to Bali, but in a lot of the research that I've done, you'll notice that homes and living spaces, whether they're small or they're large, they're surrounded by a lot of big walls. And I would think that this is very common in a lot of other countries as well. And it's obviously for safety reasons too. You don't want trespassers, uninvited people coming in. But I didn't know this, but in looking into Balinese culture, they also use big high walls to keep out evil spirits. So there you go. Whether that works in reality or not is for you to decide, but I think it is a wonderful way to create peace and calm and privacy. If you've got a very small garden, a small patio, or you've got a very large yard, big walls are a safety thing too, and it does separate you from the rest of the world. It creates that mental personal space, which I find is so lacking in a lot of traditional design styles here in the US. Even when I was over in Europe, you have a lot of beautiful places where you can hang out, but they're not necessarily private. They don't shut out the rest of the world. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I do think it's a very healthy way of living when you can come home to your own serene little sanctuary and you're just shutting out the rest of the world, just so that you can regroup and get your balance back and relax and have your own private little space. Regardless of your design style, I think that's what people should strive for. It's a very healthy thing to do mentally. And of course, once you get into really good mental health, then you start getting into physical health, because I think your mental health does dictate a lot about what goes on in the body health-wise. It's all tied together. So we do have some great blog posts about these kinds of design styles on ceruleanbay.com. And I'm also going to share the links to the different resorts that we're going to get into. I've got 5 resorts that are largely adults only, which are absolutely beautiful. And you've heard me say before, when you get on these sites and you're looking at these resorts, whether they're places you're actually interested in traveling to, or you're just looking for really good design inspiration, these resorts in Bali are phenomenal. There's just no other way to say it. Regardless of the reason why you're looking at the website, I'm telling you, they are just dream states that you just want to enter into your computer screen and instantly be a part of, because the way that they do just large stone bowls in the bathrooms, these very outdoor-oriented bathrooms, large stone bathtubs, and against the high walls for privacy with the big plants and the bamboo matting, and it's just heavenly. I absolutely love that kind of thing. So yes, I will link to these resorts, and some of them do have some good gallery pages, which is where a lot of the inspiration lies. But getting back to some of the things that go into the Balinese design style, one of the things that I really like about it, and I found this in the Thai style as well, is even if you're looking for just one piece, you just want a really cool chair or just a real statement or accent piece that defines the room, and everything else around it can be on the understated side. But when you want that one focal point piece, Balinese design is brilliant for it because of the way the wood is intricately carved, whether it's on the base of a chair, the back of a chair, the arms of a chair, and then you've got some really comfortable neutral upholstery on there. They're just works of art in and of themselves. When you look at Balinese living room furniture, it's absolutely beautiful. It's just artwork. And I found this in bedroom pieces as well, that it's not just your traditional bed frame with your headboard and your nightstands. When you look for Balinese-inspired furniture, each and every piece is just a statement unto itself. It's just a piece of art with the different ornate carvings that are in there, and then the beautiful wood tones. They tend to be very rich and kind of on the darker side, but beautifully done. So yeah, if you see Balinese or even Javanese from Java, very, very similar influences, but Javanese style is also very popular. The two are very similar, and I find you can't go wrong with that when you want to decorate in authentic, true tropical style with a real exotic edge to it. Go with Balinese, go with Javanese. Absolutely beautiful. You won't be sorry you did. And something else that I wanted to point out with the furnishings, it seems that with their sofas and their chairs, and even when you get into lounge chairs, they almost speak to you in a way that says, come and recline, relax. They're big, they're broad, they're wide, there's room to lay down. It doesn't appear to be furniture where you're going to be sitting there in an upright position without a lot of room to get comfortable. Everything that I see in my research allows for comfort, relaxation. You can just spread out. It seems like you could even lay down and take a nap if you wanted to. But that's one thing I wanted to point out when it comes to the upholstery that I've noticed in Balinese design. It highlights rest and relaxation. It's very inviting to just come and sit down. And then speaking of bedroom furniture, because in Bali, you do have a lot of open walls and windows without screens, and it's a very indoor-outdoor blend. A lot of the beds and bedroom furniture are going to have your canopy beds with the mosquito netting, some kind of beautiful linen enclosure where you can draw those closed at night, obviously, to keep the mosquitoes and the bugs out. But from a design style, they're really, really nice. And when you set that against the dark woods of a bed frame and a headboard, the overhead canopy, and you've got some really nice off-white linens there, and then with other neutral pieces From I throw on the bed, the different pillows that are there, rugs underneath. They use a lot of hardwoods in Bali, so perfect way to incorporate things like sisal rugs, jute rugs, things that are made from natural fibers, natural grasses, and beautifully done rugs that are just made from other materials that can withstand the humidity and moisture levels there. Really an excellent way to just bring in a lot of texture and layer to the bedrooms. But yeah, if you want that Balinese look, go for canopy beds, the ones with the mosquito netting type of enclosure on there. They drape really nicely when they're opened, and then when they're closed, they look amazing, just absolutely amazing. When it comes to decor and styling, what I absolutely love about Bali as well is they use a lot of pottery. There's a lot of big, beautiful terracotta pots, stone pots, and they do a lot with them where they'll apply mosaic tile. They come in a range of colors and shapes and sizes and weights. These are things that I really wanted to kick off Cerulean Bay with when I started back in 2019. In addition to importing the home decor from Fiji, which is what really was the inspiration behind the business, when I discovered Bali and what you can get from there, it's just mind-blowing. And it is available in the States if you hunt around for it. There are large companies which do import from Bali. And I just wanted to be one of those, but on a smaller scale that focused on the real specialty items. And this was before COVID. I actually discovered one wonderful wholesaler over there that not only had the different stone pots and big vases and things like this, but they did a lot with wood. And they had the palm pots. And these are actually made from palm tree trunks. And some of them measure anywhere from 2 to 3, 4, 5 feet tall. And they hollow them out, and they're just big and beautiful, beautifully stained and finished. They're beautifully carved, really nice patterns going on. And I have a few in my house here, and I actually was able to import a few samples. But then when COVID hit, it's such a shame. To this day, I'm still not sure why pricing hasn't come down, but the cost to ship it's skyrocketed back in 2020, and it really has not come down. And this is long before the tariffs came along. You know, our current president wasn't in the White House when this was going on. I'm not sure, again, why the cost went up, but suddenly to import on a bigger quantity, it just became cost prohibitive because at the end of the day, anybody who's importing needs to be able to cover not only the cost of the wholesale product, but then there's all of the shipping, there's the customs, there's the insurance, there's just all kinds of freight costs that are involved with getting these products into the U.S., and the heavier they are, the more expensive it is. And then you've got to turn around and be able to price it where you as the little retailer, you're making a little bit of money on there because profit is an important thing, but you still want your customers to have a good deal. And for me, I was just too small. It was not cost effective. Maybe one day I'll be able to do it. I look at my palm pots in my house and I still love them. And there's one supplier, there are a number of them that had gone out of business, not just in Indonesia, but in other countries. I think COVID really was harmful in that effect that it just put a lot of people out of business in the export world in these different countries. But there is one that is still available in Indonesia, and I just got to be able to order in that quantity where it makes sense. But anyways, I digress. I just wanted you guys to know that the decor style in Bali is one of my favorites, so much so that I wanted to be able to import it. And it was just not cost effective to do so. But if there's a way that you can find it online yourself, I strongly encourage you to do that. And I think what I'll do is actually go ahead and put together a video for this where I can show you guys some ideas of it with some sources too. This is one of the things that I love to do is research who's selling these kinds of things and then share that information to help save you guys some time, because here I am telling you about these things and I know what they look like and I'm very familiar with the different Indonesian styles and what to look for to make sure they're authentic, when you yourself might not be so familiar with it. And then if you come across something, I highly encourage you to question its authenticity and to make sure it's the real deal and that it's definitely coming from the country of origin where you would expect it to come from. Because sadly, in Asia and in the South Pacific and other places, there's just a lot of Chinese imports. You've heard me say it before, and I don't mean any disrespect in this, but China is a very large copy machine. They can copy pretty much anything over there that they want, I saw this when I was in Fiji. I actually found some Fijians who were out in the markets selling local Fijian handicrafts and things like this that were made in China to save costs. They weren't even the real deal carved locally. I stay away from that. I encourage you to stay away from that. And when it comes to Balinese design, this kinds of things, there's a lot of fake stuff out there, not just from China, but from some other countries too. So I think it's important to know that cheaper in price is not always better. If authenticity is important to you and you want to support the local artists behind that, you are going to pay a little bit more money for it. And if the cost to get it here is higher for the seller, I think it's worth paying for it still, because again, you're getting the real deal. You're not getting something that was mass produced in a factory from a different country that you're not even involved with, because you're not decorating in that country's culture or style. So why buy something from there? When you are talking about Bali, you're talking about Indonesia and just some really, truly unique, beautiful influences that come from there. Artists who put their heart and soul, this is their livelihoods. They create these beautiful things. And there are exporters there that help source all of these things together so that they can be available here in the US. So I will put together a video with some ideas, and I think you'll be very happy with those because again, they're beautiful. I can't say it enough. They're absolutely amazing. So to move on from there, something else that I really encourage too is water features. I think indoor and outdoor water features are very overlooked. I think some people automatically discount them because they consider them to be too expensive or that they need too much maintenance. So like anything else that has moving parts, yes, the pumps inside will fail over time. I think getting a good quality fountain is an important thing and not just something that's cheaply made that you can get online for a few dollars. I would look for the real deal. And if a water feature that's made in Indonesia ends up being too expensive, again, because of its weight and the shipping costs involved, and you do find something that was made for a lesser cost, then yes, definitely go for it. You just want to make sure the reviews are very good. The quality is very good. You don't want to get a water feature in your home that is just going to need a lot of maintenance, that breaks down after a year, because the whole purpose of having a water feature is mental relaxation, peace and serenity, and whether this is an indoor or an outdoor piece, I recommend having both if possible. You want it to be long-lasting. You want it to be good quality. And in the Balinese culture, water features are heavily used, and having a pond, if you have the space and it's feasible for you, is another big thing. Koi ponds are a big thing, perfect for yoga and meditation areas. But even if you don't have a koi pond, and that's perfectly fine if you don't, but just having a fountain that's also accompanied by some smaller statues and artwork, maybe a little stone pathway that leads to it in your home if you've got a great little corner in a room or a little place out in your garden, just incorporate some stonework in there and just, you'll know it when you feel it. As the materials you're using to create this little sanctuary, this little gentle scene, you'll know it because that serenity starts to come to life and you'll start to feel that spa-like experience. It's just really, really cool. And as you're creating these spaces indoors and out, never forget about lighting. Regardless of your design style, lighting is important. And we've got an excellent blog post about lighting, which addresses the most subtle and understated lighting to the most dramatic with the big, huge chandelier. Lighting is definitely an overlooked form of art, in my opinion. I think lighting is its own art form. When you get into the effects that it creates and the different lampshades which create it, then you throw everything on dimmers. It's just a whole wonderland of artwork. The different scenes that you can create just by using these stationary fixtures that you don't have to constantly keep changing out to create something different, I think they're brilliant. When you get into Balinese culture, look for woven lampshades, look for things that are woven from natural fibers, natural grasses. There's just a beautiful basketry and weave effect that goes with these lamps and different lighting elements. Always look for uplighting when you're talking about plants, artwork that sits on the floor, statuary, anything like this where you can put an uplight behind it. Use uplights where you can, put those on dimmers, and you will really help to create that amazing, dreamlike, resort-like tropical vibe. Having lighting that's very adaptable to the different times of days and to help create different moods is super important. And when you factor that in with wonderful elements like a lot of wood furniture and the stone carvings and just really authentic artwork, you will know that you have created a wonderful Balinese tropical resort at home. And what better way to help de-stress at the end of a day when you can't get on a plane and fly over to Indonesia? Just have your own wonderful little retreat at home where you can go and get away from the rest of the world and take your own little mental vacation. So now that you have these little tips on Balinese design and knowing that a video is going to come out so I can show you guys some wonderful home decor and hopefully some good sources about where to get these things, what I want to do now is get into some of the resorts that I mentioned. And if you're not familiar with Bali, clicking on some of these links is just going to be fabulous for you. Trust me, because when you get into some of these resorts, like the Kayan Jungle Resort, which is in Ubud, Bali, Ubud is an area that is not on the beach. And this is one cool thing I have to put out there about Bali is that they have both amazing resorts on the beach and up in the mountains. And Ubud is an area that is very hilly, it's very terraced, it's very jungle-like, and there are villages and towns in this region. You will find a number of resorts that are built on the hillsides and the cliff sides, and they're very terraced, they're very layered. When you go to the Kayan Jungle Resort website, you're going to instantly notice their infinity pools, which look like they're almost stacked, not on top of each other, but like a stair step kind of construction. Absolutely scenic, absolutely beautiful. So yeah, let's go ahead and start there with the Kayan Jungle Resort. This place is peaceful. It is breathtaking. It is for adults and it is for visitors 16 years and older. One thing I have noticed with Bali is they don't really have a lot of resorts that are 18 and older, but as long as you're around well-behaved teenagers, you're going to be just fine. So if something is not strictly 18 and older, you don't want to say no to a place like the Kayan Jungle Resort. This resort is situated up in the tropical rainforests and the rice terraces. It sits high up on a hillside there, and it's above the Ouse River, so there is a river down below. They do have a 3-tiered infinity pool, which overlooks the valley, and it is just one of the most scenic things you could possibly imagine. This is a great resort for people who don't want to be immediately on the beach, and for those who love nature and the Balinese culture. You are going to really be immersed in it. It is on the island of Bali, and it is about 25 miles from the town of Ubud. Here you will enjoy luxurious accommodations. At last check, they had 38 private retreats that range from smaller jungle suites with private decks to their pool villas, which are larger and have larger decks outside. Some of them have their own jacuzzis, their own outdoor gazebos. Some have their own hammocks, which are right outside. All of the villas do have private butler service. So just know that when you're booking. I think as a rule, regardless of where you're traveling in the world, if a place has private butler service, that might not be that important to you. So make sure you're not paying for that then, because you are going to pay a premium for those rooms and villas that have private butler service. But if you are one that is going to be hanging out at your room and that's what you want, go for the private butler service because you're not going to get it anywhere else. So this particular resort also does have an on-site gym. It's got a great recreation area. You can visit a traditional open-air market located in the Bracella village, which is nearby. And you're going to get a lot of the Balinese souvenirs there, the handicrafts, the jewelry. These are made by the local artists. Those are the things that I highly recommend that you check out. And this resort is also very well known for including traditional culture, such as Balinese dance. They've got beauty product demonstrations and treatments. They've got excellent spa services. And the dining facilities are amazing. On the website, you're going to see these little open-air pods that make for a very private and romantic dinner for two, but they are still open where you can just see the nature. And at night, when you're having a candlelit dinner, it must be absolutely amazing. And just know that when you are traveling to a resort like this one or others in Bali, you're typically arriving in Denpasar, which is their main airport. And then the Ubud area is really only a 45-minute drive. and they have taxis and shuttle services. So I just like to point that out because sometimes people think if you're going to a tropical beach resort, but then they also have resorts up in the mountains or in some kind of a rainforest setting, they're not always hours away from the airport because for some people, that's just not doable. There are a lot of travelers that like to be relatively close to the airport so that you're not spending a lot of time traveling back and forth to places. But yes, in Bali, just know that if you are staying in the Ubud region, it is only about a 45-minute ride, maybe about an hour from the airport. So not bad at all. The next resort here is the Royal Purnama. And this one is located on the southeastern shore of Bali, and it's one of those that features a black sand beach. So there is a large section of Bali that does have the volcanic black sand, and this one provides guests with true oceanfront tranquility. Now, it's not a true adults-only resort because it is open for people 12 and older. The Royal Purnama, at last check, has about 49 private suites and villas, and it is known for its very secluded villa settings. So here you're going to have villas with their own little private yards, private plunge pools, very quiet and serene areas that are a mix of Indonesian and traditional Balinese styles. They've got the big open concepts where walls open up with sliding doors, and it is truly a beautiful place to go. Their infinity pool is absolutely stunning. And in terms of activities, there's lots of stuff you can do there. They have a lot of excursions. This one's not directly in a touristy area. So there are trips to local villages, local markets. You can go to local temples. There is horseback riding that's available on the beach. And then they also do have the yoga classes and the cooking classes. It's a place where there's a lot of oceanfront and private beachside spaces that offer private dining. You can enjoy the floating breakfasts in your own pool. So this looks like an absolutely beautiful place to go, and it's about an hour from the airport, so not too bad there. Then moving on, our third resort is the Samanvaya Luxury Resort and Spa. This is for people 14 and older, and it is situated in the village of Tabola. And this is in the Sidaman Valley, which is in southeastern Bali. Another beautiful resort with a beautiful infinity edge pool, and they have the cabana lounge seating out around the pool area there. The Samanvaya is a smaller resort. At last check, it features 18 air-conditioned villas, and I think 5 of those have their own private pool or jacuzzi. So it is a smaller resort, which is good for people who don't like crowds or who just don't want to be around a lot of people. And it is beautifully done with a lot of bamboo in the rooms and a lot of bamboo panels on the walls, on the ceilings. Really a truly beautiful nature-inspired place. They offer cycling tours through the surrounding hills and villages. There's guided scooter tours, whitewater rafting. They have treks through local rice fields into local markets. They too offer immersive cooking classes. And there are also several scenic waterfalls that are nearby, which appear to be only about 15 minutes away by car, so very, very nice. And of course, you've got the great spa services and the yoga studio available. This being Bali, I think all of their resorts are really going to have excellent spa services and, of course, things like yoga, which are such a part of the culture there. So you can really expect to just relax and get rejuvenated. And this particular resort is known for really incorporating a lot of authentic flavors, a lot of seasonal ingredients. I think the menu changes pretty frequently because depending on what's available, that's what they want to use. So it's going to keep the menu interesting, but it looks like an absolutely beautiful place too. And this one is about 90 minutes away from the airport after arriving in Denpasar. They do assist with travel arrangements to get there, so just know that you can take a taxi or they've got the private cars and shuttles. So that is the Samanvaya Luxury Resort and Spa. Definitely one to check out. And just a special note about this particular resort, like the Kayan Jungle Resort, it is among the rice terraces, so you're looking at a very layered landscaping. It may not be suitable for guests with mobility issues. You're going to have a lot of stairs. It's going to be difficult to get around if you have mobility issues, so just keep that in mind if you are planning to actually visit. So now moving on, this is where we are going to the beach. And this is in the Nusa Dua area, which is very close to the airport. It's very close to town. The Balai Nusa Dua is a contemporary luxury escape. And this is for people 16 and older. It is in the exclusive enclave of Nusa Dua, and this particular resort really has a modern flair to it. It's true modern tropical. For those of you who are familiar with tropical design, this one really is done in a very authentic modern tropical way. And it's wonderful with the architecture. There's a lot of glass, a lot of hardwoods, a lot of limestone and white walls, a lot of water features. The atmosphere is very slow paced. It's very laid back. There's a lot more of a linear look to it when you look at the pool and then the different water features that they have. It's just got that modern touch. This particular resort at last check had 26 private villas, or pavilions as they call them, because pavilions in the Balinese culture are very open. Again, they have the long sliding doors which open up and really allow the outside to come in. So you can have your own pavilion with your own king-size bed there and a private pool. Each one is situated within its own white-walled courtyard, which I thought was very cool. So when you open up those sliding doors, you are still within your own little compound there, which really creates a beautiful, serene, a luxurious private tropical atmosphere. And I love this one because you've got the really high-angled roofs, which are done in a lot of wood and bamboo, a lot of natural timber there. Very unique styling, very, very cool to look at. And this one is just a short walk from the beach, which is really nice. And this one is a white sand beach. It's a private beach just for guests only. So that's nice. It's got the on-site gym and then a spa that has a great selection of different holistic treatments there. So the Bali Nusa Dua is one to absolutely check out as well if you want to be down near the beach. And just as a side note, with the Bali Nusa Dua, this is in town, so you are closer to the touristy areas. It's not that far from Kuta Beach, which is probably the most touristy beach in Bali, from what I have heard. Very popular with Europeans, very popular with the Australians, and everyone else who travels there. So if you are not into the touristy things and you just want to avoid the crowds, I recommend avoiding Kuta Beach. I've read a lot about it, done some research on it, and it's just one of those places, like I think every beach area has. You have that spot where everybody goes to. Actually, I did read one article about it where people equate it to Waikiki in Honolulu, which is extremely touristy. And again, for people who go to Hawaii and don't want to be around the big touristy thing, they're not going to Waikiki. So Kuta Beach seems to have that same volume of tourism there, and avoid that if you don't want to get into the crowds and have everything that goes along with that. So moving on from there, the last resort is the Spa Village Resort at Tembok. And this one is actually on the northeastern shore, which is also famous for its black sand beaches. So we've got another black sand beach resort here. It is for people 16 and older. So this particular resort is further out. It is about a 3-hour drive from the airport, and you can either drive there yourself or you can hire a private car. You're going to travel along the mountain roads, past dormant volcanoes. There's a lot of lush tropical greenery. But as I said, it's a 3-hour drive, and that's not for everybody. But this particular resort is very secluded. It is for those who want to focus on health and holistic wellness. It's what makes it different from the others. They really feature centuries-old Balinese traditions there. They really guide you on that journey to improve mental and physical well-being. There's the use of a lot of local healing practices. This involves the use of a lot of natural ingredients which have therapeutic properties. And they also offer a series of specialized discovery retreats. These are scheduled throughout the year, and they provide you with more of an immersive opportunity to experience that balanced, soulful healing. So it's not necessarily the place where you're just going to go and sit in a lounge chair on the beach all day, although you can do that if you want. But this particular one is different. If you want to get away from people and places, it only has 31 rooms. It's a combination of suites and villas. There are no crowds. The rooms are beautifully appointed. The one-bedroom suites have stunning balcony views, and the villas offer their own plunge pools. You got beautiful ocean views there. So it is a great place to go for that health and wellness experience. And some of the other activities that they have, in addition to having the yoga classes and the scenic walks, you can take Indonesian martial arts there. They have diving excursions. They have day trips, which are excursions and local tours of the local temples and markets. There is also a village art tour where people can view the handcrafted wood and iron and mosaics and different things. So another great way to find locally made artwork, things you're not going to find that are mass produced. Buy a few pieces there. If they're too big to take them back with you, have them shipped back to your home. It is definitely worth it. You will end up with pieces that literally nobody else has. And that is what creates the authenticity in Tropical Escapes at Home. So you will hear me say that many times on this show. Very important to go check out the local artwork and do whatever you have to do to get it back to your house. If you can't take it back, have it shipped, you won't be sorry. So this particular resort does that. They focus on the art tour in the local village, and it's just another great place to go. You know, if you're going to travel from the U.S. to Bali, having a little extra 3-hour trip might not be such a big deal. So if this type of resort is for you, go ahead and check it out. As I said, the link to it will be in our show notes. So as a quick recap, really check out the Balinese style of interior design and decorating. It really is beautiful. It doesn't have to be a minimalist thing unless you want it to, but it's one of those things when you start to trend into the maximalist direction, you're just bringing in a lot of pieces that have a lot of textures and feeling to them, and it just helps to create those cozy, secluded spaces. You bring in the plants, you bring in a water feature. Just what a beautiful retreat that you can create at home. So yes, go ahead and check that out. And I will put that video together and I'm going to get that to you as quickly as I can. And then there's these 5 resorts that I just covered. Be sure to thoroughly check them out. Look at all the imagery that's available online. You can get so much inspiration when it comes to color palettes, the use of fabrics, the placement of plants and art. Just so much. They're full of inspiration. So I really recommend that for you. And with that, I'm going to also include in the show notes the link to my newsletter, the Cabana Lounge newsletter. The next issue will come out on October 7th. It is a monthly one that just has all kinds of great information about how to create your tropical escape at home and a cool recipe in there for either some great cocktails or some great appetizers, something that you can really incorporate into some tropical entertaining. And just a lot of other great tips in there about how to live a tropical lifestyle at home. So that's the Cabana Lounge newsletter. And then, of course, if you need some assistance with creating your tropical escape at home, I am available for those coaching calls. You can book 30 minutes for $30, and we can talk about anything you want in tropical design, your particular project, things about the tropics. I love to do that with people. It's great fun. And it's also educational for me because I'm learning from you about what it is that you like and experiences maybe that you've had that I've never encountered. So it is just a very mutual way to exchange great information about the tropics. So feel free to book a call. And then there is Tropical Designs at Home. I've got a link to that as well, our online interior design program, where I've got all the tips and tricks you need to create your own personal tropical escape, packed with a lot of great imagery and ideas and shortcuts and things like that, just to help you save a lot of money and just to get things right the first time, because nobody likes making mistakes and then having to go back and redo stuff. And I do want to also let everybody know that I've got a second podcast out there for anybody who is faith-based, prayer-based, and you just need that extra bit of prayer and support. Maybe you're going through a hard time right now. It is called Keep Praying and Stay Strong. It's very short, it's very simple and casual, and it's just a scripture-based reading with a little bit of inspiration attached to it, and just to help give people that little bit of a lift that they might need if they're feeling alone or going through a really hard time or just feeling disconnected or whatever. I figure if I'm experiencing these things from time to time in my life and I'm getting relief and resolution because I really believe in God and He is there for you too. If He's helping me, He will help you. So be sure to check out Keep Praying and Stay Strong. I just published the first episode earlier today. It's September 30th, and I'm going to try and get 2 or 3 of those out every week as well. So until we meet again here at Tropical Escapes at Home, I wish you all a wonderful week, full of health and happiness. Be kind to one another out there. I wish you all a lot of tropical inspiration. The tropics make you happy, so focus on the tropics. And have a great week, everybody. We will get together again next week. Take care. Bye-bye.